You ain't gonna do nothing but get yourself in trouble, bro.
I have a restraining order on you.
Call the police. That's my police.
That's why she recording you.
Hey! Come here, girl! Come here! Don't you f***ing hurt her! Hey! Leave her!
He is wanted for the murder of a woman right outside her apartment complex. Back on April the 21st, 27-year-old Shakeia Allen was killed outside her home on Whitelaw Place in Parkville. And today, police say 24-year-old Amir Johnson was the man who killed her. Court documents suggest the two had recently been dating, and then in March, Allen filed domestic violence charges against Johnson in civil court. However, on April 15th, less than a week before she was murdered, the case was dismissed after she failed to appear.
They're advising that a female has been shot, 1 Whitelaw Place. Victim is a black female. The dispatcher's voice cuts through the static, calm but urgent. Another voice responds. Another caller said they saw a black male, dark do-rag and a black shirt shoot the woman. Is the suspect still on scene? It sounds like the male party ran. He's got the gun in his hands. These were the frantic radio calls that flooded Baltimore County Dispatch on April 21, 2024. By the time officers arrived at the Renew apartment complex, 27-year-old Shakiya Allen lay motionless on the pavement, blood pooling beneath her body. The shooter was long gone. But this wasn't just another homicide in Baltimore County. This was a murder, captured frame by frame, shot by shot, on a neighbor's cell phone. A video that would rack up 14 million views and counting. A video that showed exactly who pulled the trigger. Hours after Shakiya took her final breath, her father's phone buzzed with a text message. It was nice knowing you. The sender? Amir Johnson. The same man who once called him Pops. The same man who sat at their family dinner table. The same man now wanted for blasting 4 bullets into Shakiya's body in broad daylight. This is the greatest betrayal a person could ever experience, Nakia Scott would later tell reporters, his voice hollow with grief. How does a relationship that begins with family dinners and pet names end with gunfire in a parking lot? What pushes a man to hunt down the mother of a 3-year-old girl and execute her while cameras roll? And how does someone caught on video committing murder manage to vanish into thin air? The most gut-wrenching part? This wasn't a crime that came without warning. There were court documents, police reports, protective orders, a registered handgun, a pending assault case. The system knew Amir Johnson was dangerous. Shakiya Allen knew he was dangerous. She had moved out, started fresh, tried to protect herself through legal channels. My sister had the courage to leave, Shanae Scott would later say about her sister. She chose to save herself. But sometimes courage isn't enough. Sometimes the very documents meant to protect you become the map that leads your killer right to your doorstep. As the video of Shakiya's murder continues to circulate online, her 3-year-old daughter Storm will grow up without a mother. Her family will continue to demand answers from a police department that can't seem to locate a man whose face and crime are plastered across the internet. And somewhere, Amir Johnson remains free, despite being filmed committing one of the most brazen acts of domestic violence ever captured on camera. This is the story of Shakiya Allen, a woman who did everything right, a woman who tried to escape, a woman whose final moments were turned into viral content while justice remains elusive. Drop a comment below if you've ever felt unsafe leaving a relationship, or if you know someone who has. Your story might save a life. Before she became a hashtag, Shakiya Allen was building something real. At 27, she had her nursing qualification and was carving out a career in healthcare. But her greatest achievement? 3-year-old Storm. A little girl with her mother's smile and determination. She was focused on creating a better future, her sister Shanae recalls. For herself and especially for Storm. When Amir Johnson entered the picture, nobody saw red flags. He was 24, seemingly stable, and quickly became part of the family fabric. He called Shakiya's father Pops. He shared meals with her 4 sisters. From the outside, they looked like any other young couple, figuring out life together. The relationship seemed good. Nakia Scott admits the pain evident in his voice. Until it wasn't. The shift happened gradually. Johnson's texts became more frequent, then demanding. His questions about Shakia's whereabouts turned into accusations. What started as occasional jealousy morphed into something darker.
There was no red flags, no alarms or anything.
Looking back, I can see he was kind of controlling, Nakia says. But it wasn't like he walked in with a warning label. Shanae agrees. From what I could see with my own two eyes, I would have never guessed how toxic he was.
I got him. He was a cool little kid.
He came off like your average guy. There weren't huge red flags flashing in your face. But behind closed doors, the relationship was fracturing. By August 2023, things had escalated to the point where police were called to their shared apartment. The dispute resulted in Johnson's arrest and something that would become a pattern: mutual protective orders filed by both parties. A Baltimore County judge granted temporary protection for both of them, but when neither showed up for the final hearing, the orders were dismissed. The cycle of violence had only just begun. 6 months later, in February 2024, Johnson was charged with misdemeanor assault after another fight turned physical. Police reports from that incident contain a detail that now reads like foreshadowing. Johnson had a registered handgun holstered inside his waistband when officers arrived. Though the gun wasn't used during that particular fight, Johnson consented for the handgun to be removed from the residence for safekeeping. The same weapon would later end Shakia's life. It was after this incident that Shakeia made the decision countless abuse victims make every day. She chose to leave. She moved out of their shared apartment and found a new place for herself and Storm. She was saving money, planning a future, and using the legal system to keep Johnson at bay. Just 2.5 months before her murder, Shakiya posted a TikTok video of the couple out to eat. To her followers, everything looked normal. But court documents tell a different story, one of escalating violence and a woman trying desperately to break free. Johnson's trial for the February assault was scheduled for April 29, 2024. Shakiya never lived to see that day. She was murdered 8 days before the court date in the parking lot of the new apartment she'd hoped would be her fresh start. What Shakiya couldn't have known was that the very court documents she filed to protect herself likely led Johnson right to her door. The address she thought represented freedom became the X that marked the spot for her execution. The paper trail of Shakiya Allen's final months reads like a countdown clock nobody recognized. Court filings, police reports, and dismissed protective orders, each document another tick toward April 21. The first official warning appeared in August 2023. Police responded to a dispute between Shakeia and Johnson, resulting in his arrest. Court records describe Allen as Johnson's significant other, a sterile legal term that masked the volatility brewing beneath. Both filed for protection against each other, a common tactic abusers use to muddy the waters. The judge granted temporary orders, but when neither appeared for the final hearing, the case was dismissed. This critical protection vanished with the stroke of a pen. Protective orders are only as strong as their enforcement, Rodriguez explains. When they're dismissed, it can embolden an abuser. February 2024 brought the second documented warning. Johnson was charged with misdemeanor assault after what court records describe as a days-long dispute that had turned physical. Johnson had a registered handgun holstered inside his waistband when police arrived. Though not used during that incident, Johnson surrendered the weapon for safekeeping. Somehow, he got it back, the same gun that would fire 4 fatal shots just 2 months later. Johnson's trial date was set for April 29. Shakiya was killed on April 21. The timing wasn't coincidental. When an abuser faces legal consequences, that's often the most dangerous time for a victim, Rodriguez notes. The potential loss of control can trigger extreme violence. Outside the courtroom, Shakia's family was noticing shifts in Johnson's behavior.
At one time, she was out with some co-workers, guys and girls, He popped up. Oh, I just didn't know where she's at. I say, she got to tell you where she's at every minute, yo. I say, yo, my daughter don't have to check in with you. I say, she don't even check in with me like that.
What they once dismissed as personality quirks now seemed like warning signs. He'd call, constantly checking on her, Shanae recalls. If she didn't answer right away, he'd blow up her phone. I thought he was just attentive. Now I see it was control. Shakiya was doing everything by the book. She filed for protection. She reported the assault. She moved to a new address. She was preparing to testify. My sister chose herself, Shanae says.
She really just wanted to focus on herself and her daughter.
She chose safety. She chose her daughter. What Shakiya couldn't have known was that her new address, listed on court documents served to Johnson, had become a target. The legal system meant to shield her had inadvertently handed her abuser a map. People should be careful when filing anything with the court, Shanae warns now. Ensure your address isn't on any documents being served to the person you're filing against. The final warning came from Shakiya herself. In one of her last TikTok posts, she shared a video with Johnson, their smiles masking the reality of what was happening off camera. The caption now reads like a premonition no one heeded. April 21, 2024, 3:00 p.m. A Sunday afternoon like any other at the Renew apartment complex in Nottingham. Residents going about their day, children playing. Shakeia Allen walking to her car. Then he appeared. Security footage would later show Johnson's vehicle entering the complex at 2:47 p.m. He parked far from the entrance, walked through the back path, and waited. This wasn't a crime of passion. This was a hunt.
You ain't gonna do nothing but get yourself in trouble, bro.
I have a restraining order on you.
Call the police. That's fine on police.
That's what she recorded.
Hey! Get the off her, you asshole! Leave her the alone. I'm calling the cops. Come here, girl. Come here. Don't you hurt her. Hey! Leave her alone.
4 seconds later, the first shot rings out, then another, and another. A final shot follows as Shakiya crumples to the ground. The camera shakes, screams erupt from multiple directions, and Johnson, visible for just a moment more, calmly walks out of frame, gun still in hand. I heard pop, 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 Jessica Hayostek, another resident, would later tell reporters.
And I heard like pop, pop, pop. And I thought it was firecrackers. Clearly it was not. And so I went to the window to see where the fireworks were let off. And then I saw a guy walking very casually with a gun in his hand.
The casualness of Johnson's exit is what haunts witnesses most. No running, no panic. Just a man who had completed a task and was now leaving the scene. 911 calls flooded the dispatch center. A woman's been shot in the parking lot. The shooter is walking away. He still has the gun. She's not moving. Oh God, she's not moving. Baltimore County Police arrived within minutes. So did paramedics. Aviation units circled overhead while K-9 teams searched the surrounding area. But it was already too late, both for Shakiya, pronounced dead at the scene, and for capturing Johnson, who had vanished. The twist that nobody saw coming? Despite dozens of witnesses, despite clear video evidence, despite knowing exactly who they were looking for, police couldn't find Amir Johnson. Not that day, not the next, not in the weeks and months that would follow. As Shakiya's body was removed from the scene, her phone buzzed with a notification. A reminder for April 29, Johnson's court date for the previous assault charge, a date she would never see. Back at the station, detectives reviewed the footage. The quality was clear enough to make out Johnson's face, the gun in his hand, even the expression of cold determination as he pulled the trigger. They had everything they needed for an arrest, except the suspect himself. It's horrific, it's appalling that someone would do something like that to someone openly in public. Baltimore County Police Chief Robert McCullough told reporters the next day, As you can see in the video, we have a suspect. It's pretty apparent who it is. What wasn't apparent was how a man whose face was now being shared across every social media platform could simply disappear. Or why, with all the warning signs documented in police and court records, Shakiya Allen had been left so vulnerable in the first place. The video continued to spread online, each view adding to the collective outrage, each share amplifying the same question: how could this happen in broad daylight, and where was the justice for Shakiya? Within hours of Shakiya's murder, the video began to spread. What started as evidence became content, shared across platforms, with captions ranging from outraged to exploitative. By November, one post alone had racked up 14 million views on X. The hashtag Justice for Shakiya trended for days. For Shakiya's family, the viral spread created a double trauma, grieving their daughter while simultaneously being unable to escape the footage of her final moments. For weeks after her death, we were forced to stay off all social media, Shanae reveals. Every time we opened an app, there she was. There he was, over and over. Meanwhile, the manhunt for Johnson continued with frustrating results. Despite his face being plastered across the internet, despite the clear video evidence, despite knowing exactly who they were looking for, Baltimore County Police couldn't locate him. It's not alleged he's on film killing her, Nakia Scott told reporters, his voice tight with barely contained rage. To call it frustration at the fact that they haven't caught him is an understatement. As days turned to weeks and weeks to months, the family's patience wore thin. How could a man caught on camera committing murder vanish? Was he hiding in Baltimore? Had he fled to New York, where he had connections? Was someone helping him? The police offered a $2,000 reward for information, a sum that struck many as insultingly low for information leading to the capture of a murderer. The case became one of 3 domestic homicides in Baltimore County since November 2023, accounting for 13.6% of total homicides in the county that year. But statistics offered little comfort to Storm, Shakiya's 3-year-old daughter, now living with relatives. Too young to understand the permanence of death, she still asks when her mother is coming home. The family shields her from the video that continues to circulate, knowing someday she'll be old enough to search her mother's name and find it. That little girl lost everything that day, Lakia says. Her mother, her security, her future as it should have been. Perhaps the cruelest revelation came when investigators determined how Johnson likely found Shakiya's new address, through the very court documents she had filed to protect herself. The paperwork meant to shield her had instead created a roadmap for her killer. I think people should be careful when filing anything with the court, Shanae warns now. Ensure your address is not on any of the documents being served to the person you're filing against. The case has sparked debate about how domestic violence victims' information is handled in the legal system. Advocates point to Shakiya's murder as evidence that current protocols are dangerously inadequate. The system failed her at every turn, says Amanda Rodriguez from Turnaround. From the dismissed protective orders, to the exposed address, to the fact that Johnson somehow regained access to his gun. As Johnson remains at large, the family has turned their grief into action. They speak at domestic violence awareness events, they push for policy changes, they keep Shakiya's name in the media, and they wait for the call telling them Johnson has finally been caught. He texted me, "It was nice knowing you," hours after killing my daughter, Nakia reveals.
To text me after you killed my daughter, like, "It was nice knowing you."
Like it was just business. Like he was saying goodbye to a co-worker, not confessing to murdering someone I loved. That text, perhaps Johnson's final communication before disappearing, remains in Nakia's phone. Evidence of a killer's callousness. A digital reminder of justice still denied. As the hashtag continues to spread and the reward remains unclaimed, one question haunts everyone involved. How many more Shakiyas will there be before the system changes? Shakeia Allen did everything right. She left her abuser, she filed for protection, She built a new life, she fought for her freedom, and still she died in a parking lot while someone filmed instead of intervened. Her story exposes the gaping holes in a system designed to protect victims of domestic violence. Any court documents that reveal victims' addresses to their abusers, protective orders dismissed on technicalities, guns returned to people with documented violent histories, police unable to locate a killer whose face and crime are known to millions. We have seen an increase in what we call a lack of bystander intervention, notes Amanda Rodriguez from Turnaround. We're so quick to pick up our phones and start recording, but less quick to call 911 or engage in a safe way to stop abuse. The neighbor who filmed Shakia's murder likely never imagined they were documenting her final moments. They probably thought they were gathering evidence. But in those crucial seconds, would a direct intervention have changed the outcome? We'll never know. What we do know is that Shakia's 3-year-old daughter will grow up without her mother. We know that Amir Johnson remains free despite committing murder on camera, and we know that right now thousands of people are trapped in relationships just like Shakia's, wondering if leaving will save them or mark them for death. If you're watching this and you recognize the warning signs in your own relationship, the control, the jealousy, the escalating anger, know that there are resources. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is available 24/7 at 1-800-799-SAFE. And if you see something happening, call 911 first, then record. Because the most haunting question in Shakia's case isn't why Johnson killed her. It's whether anyone could have stopped him. And whether we'll stop the next one. Drop a comment. What would you have done if you witnessed what happened to Shakiya?